All right. It's top 10 time, you guys. Time to see what the year brought us for good whiskey.
Brought us? You mean what I brought you?
Yeah. I mean, basically.
It's so mean on my part, but I think it's true, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Whatever.
It's what happens.
It's what happens.
Welcome back to another edition of Bourbon Kingdom. I'm David.
And I'm Zach.
And today we are going to talk through our 2024 top 10.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually sipping on my on our top 2 as we speak.
Oh, it's at the top 2 as you speak? All right. So before we get started, hit the like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. And like we said in the last video, these were all kind of individually done. Then we accumulated these scores together and to come up with our winners. So what won for him doesn't necessarily mean it won for me, but cumulatively,
that is true.
We scored it. So
I will say, if you haven't watched our first half, go watch our first half of the video. I'll
Pause
tag that.
And go watch the first half.
Yeah, don't actually log off because that kills the analytics.
Yeah,
totally kidding.
Yeah.
But I'll tag that down in the comments so that way you all can check it out. So that way you all can kind of see what made our 20 through 11. Also, just so that way you all know, we eliminated a ton of great whiskey before we even started doing all this. We eliminated like 19 bottles. We'll have a whole bunch of B-roll showing it. Like, we eliminated, single rick house, which I'm still surprised at. We eliminated some great Penelope, some great Sagamore, an Shaler barrel proof rye.
Malt Triumph.
Yeah, we just eliminated a whole bunch of good whiskey.
Yeah.
So, with all that being said, I feel like this year we reviewed a handful of bottles that I felt like was going to be in our top 10 all year. We were pretty much right on all of them except for maybe one.
Yeah.
I think there was one bottle that didn't get into our top 10 that I kind of thought would.
Yeah.
And that was the Penelope American Light Whiskey.
Yeah.
And that was number 11.
Yeah. So,
and I think even now we still we should have put that in our top 10.
We probably should have. It's just the way it happens. So do me a favor, hit the like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. That way you can kind of let us know, what we got right, what we got wrong, where you are on your top 10 or your top 20 as well. Because we like to hear that stuff. We like to see what you guys are drinking, what you've gotten. And again, for us, it's always the things that we've gotten the bottle of, or we reviewed with a bottle of it. And so if we didn't actually purchase it, it's not on our list.
So we had a bunch of samples sent to us this year. And when I say samples, sample bottles of stuff like Bardstown Silver Oak, Jack Daniel's 10, 12 year, stuff like that. If we didn't actually have the bottle, then it just doesn't count. So with all that being said, you ready to begin? All right,
let's do it.
Let's knock this out.
Let's do it. All right, number 10 on the list is our bottle of the year last year was the Michter's 10 year. When we went through this, it just kind of, and you hate to say it's in the top 10, it fell flat for where we were at.
Here's the thing. It's all these are crazy good.
Yeah.
There's really not a bad bottle, obviously, in the bunch.
Yeah.
It did fall short in the blinds this year compared to last year. Last year where it stood out, it was punchy.
Yeah.
And at that proof.
It did. It just kind of stayed. It kind of stayed where it needed to stay all year long.
Well, whenever I, in my initial blind, I was it'll probably be somewhere 5, 6, maybe 7 at worst. It just kept falling. The more I would drink of other stuff, the more it just.
I agree with you.
It just kept falling.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that's still not great, because it is still
objectively
great.
All these are great.
Yeah.
We're just haggling over who's the greatest. Number 9 on the list, which I actually thought would maybe be a little bit higher.
Do we want to talk about where we rank these individually? Where's your list?
I don't.
Is that it over there underneath the sample bottle?
Yeah, it is.
We should do that, because we didn't do that.
Sure.
Where did Michter's end up finishing for you, by the way?
Michter's actually ended up last for me.
Michter's finished 8th for me.
Yeah. So cumulatively, that's where you get.
Yeah.
Oddly
I didn't
enough.
think about doing this until him. So
Oddly enough,
live spitballing here.
yeah, it's how it happens. Like, Michter's and Bardstown both finished 10 and 9 for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where it was on the list. I honestly thought this would probably be a little bit higher, but I do also remember when I blinded 11 and 12 together, that I ended up liking 11 better.
You did. I like 12 better.
Yeah.
I had 12 ranked higher. I had it at 7th actually for me.
Yeah.
Ron, whenever you're watching this, just remember.
This year. Just
remember. But yeah, no, I felt like whenever I was doing the blind, like Disco did really well until a point, and then it felt like it hit a wall.
Yeah.
And then it's just like going past that wall.
Yeah.
And that's just how it was.
I felt that same way. All right.
Man, our whiskey of the year. So good.
Number 8 is the Booker Reserve. For us, you all know this was a controversial bottle between this and the Infinite that came out at the same time.
I still don't understand why.
I don't understand that either.
I don't even understand the conversation about it. Like, those are just flat out better.
Yeah. And so I thought when we tasted this initially and did the review, like, I thought that this would be in the top 10. Just sheer just the complexity of it, the way it didn't taste like a Booker's traditional, all those
fantastic
things. I think it just had a lot of things in its favor. And for me, this finished 7th. And
for me, it finished 9th.
It finished 9th. And so, again, that's how you...
I felt like this was really, really great. It was just, it was one of those, like, it drank exactly what I thought it would drink. I picked it right out of the blind, like, okay, this is exactly what this is.
Yeah.
And it's still really great.
Yeah.
It was just, I think sometimes whenever you're drinking such great whiskey, you start hitting a profile preference.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what it was.
Yeah. I get that. So for sure. All right. Probably the biggest disparity is the next bottle.
I was very surprised on my end where this fell.
Yeah. Heaven Hill 18 year. It's finished 4th for me.
It finished 10th for me. Every time I would drink it, so there was 2 things whenever I would do this blind, and I would mix up some of these Glens and figure out, try to reshift them.
Yeah.
There was an oak profile on this. Every time I would drink it compared to something, it was just off profile, and I just didn't enjoy it as much. Yeah. But what's crazy to me is, I don't know if it's airtime, because obviously the bottle's super low. We've had it open for months now. But I remember thinking to myself, whenever against the Elijah Craig batch 23C,
yeah,
I love that oak compared to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm comparing it against a Heaven Hill profile to non-Heaven Hill profiles. I don't know. It's still a great whiskey.
Heaven Hill usually, generally speaking, hits my profile just about
I
way.
agree. That's definitely more.
And so it doesn't surprise me that it probably finished higher for me than it did for you. But all in all, again, from review to end of year, this bottle just kind of steadily creeped up. The way, because remember we didn't love it when we first had it
at the review. It's not that we didn't love it. We didn't think it was bad, but we were we were hoping it was a little bit more special.
Yeah.
And then
as the year progressed, it just kind of started drinking special.
Yeah.
It really
did. It's so weird on this Heritage Collection how you give it some airtime and it opens up and it evolves, it gets better. And I'm telling you guys right now, there's a lot of great values right now on the secondary. That's one of the best values
because you can get
right now on the secondary. It's like $450, 400 to 450. Yeah. I mean, Russell's 15 was until Fred Minnick put it number 1.
No,
but
is
I was shocked to the it's going up. So now everybody's like, Fred did it, which totally.
Well, maybe you will reflect on it.
I respect Fred and everything. I'm not knocking him or anything, but it's just it's funny because Fred put it number 1.
Yeah.
And then it just now people are like, oh, 600. I'm like, that's $1,000 whiskey, but whatever.
All right. Next on our list is the Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. And this one, just barely, by the skin of our teeth, made this into our blind.
You debated that one.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, to me, you didn't have it dead last.
No, I had it finishing 8th.
Yeah, you had it 8th. I had it 6th.
I think of the Coy Hill releases, this is the worst one.
Oh, you were literally comparing it.
No, I'm just saying
against 2 top 3 whiskeys of the year.
Yeah,
the worst one has finished.
No, it was
6th for us.
Yeah, it finished 6th. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, I had higher expectations for this, honestly. And when we reviewed it, I was like, that's fine. It's not like anything crazy. And it's
only the 6th best whiskey we've had all year.
Only the 6th.
Or in your case, the 8th.
The 8th. But it's close enough. 6, 8, it's, whatever.
Nah,
it's all good. This is fantastic. If you can get your hands on it, you should always get your hands on it.
Here's what's crazy. I have seen more of these than what I thought, which I am pleasantly surprised about. Yeah. They're not everywhere. It's not like you can just walk in the store and find them. But the last time they came out, it was so incredibly hard to get. Like, I basically got mine through trade or, picking up one through here, secondary, whatever it was. Yeah. But these have actually been findable locally.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Now for our top 5.
Top 5.
Number 5 is President's Choice Barrel 34. I've had like 5 or 6 different. They've released like 37 of them this year.
37? Why don't you try 87?
87. I don't know. However many it is, it's a lot. I've tried like 4 or 5 different ones. And of all the ones I've tried, this one actually was the best one. And it finished 5 for me.
It actually finished 5th for both of us. To me, whenever I drank this, I remember saying, that's President's Choice, and I feel like I'm home. That was just my note to it. I just felt home. I love this. This is a prime example of what Old Forester can do, what they should do, and how they can produce stuff. This is basically almost 12 years old, if I recall, and it's 112 proof. Yeah. It's fantastic. All right. And
release in, release out.
Not all PCs are built the same.
They're not all built the same, but
34 is fantastic.
But if you can get your hands on a PC, chances are it's going to be really, really good. I don't care what it is. Some of them just drink way more special than others. Yeah. Like the 18 bottle back here, whatever it's at over here.
That. I want more.
That bottle is unbelievable.
Stupid good.
But anyway, yeah, super good. All right. So now on to number 4.
This is such a funny bottle here.
This, for the longest time, since we did the review in early this year, I felt like this was going to be my bottle of the year. I really did. I thought, for whatever reason, this was going to be the one. And for whatever reason, other stuff came out and just kind of pushed it down the list. And then when I blinded them and kind of tasted through them, it finished 6th for me.
It finished 3rd, 4th?
4th for you, it looks like.
4th.
Yeah.
Finished 4th for me. I went back and forth. So originally I had it at number 2, and then I did my top 4 blind, and it just stuck at 4, and it didn't budge. Yeah. And I would go back through and compare it to the other 3, and it didn't budge. Yeah. And this thing is incredible. It's crazy that this 23-year-old whiskey sits on the secondary for the price that it does. I think it's one of the best things that you can get for the age and the cost of it on the secondary. I know we're talking secondary, and I know people aren't going to like that, but I'm just being honest with you guys. Like, it's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap retail.
MSRP, for sure.
But on secondary, it's like $250 more.
Yeah.
Like, for what it is and what it should go, it's probably the best ultra-age whiskey on the market.
Yeah.
Honestly. And it's underappreciated just because it says Evan Williams on it.
Yeah, I agree.
And it shouldn't be. But it is. So,
yeah.
Evan Williams, Heaven Hill, however you want to look at that little bubble there, it's incredible.
Perfect. Good work. All right. And
before we talk about our top 3, I do want to say our top 3 tied.
Yeah.
And it tied, and it tied, and it tied, and it tied. It actually, these top 3 bottles, all 3 are very different from one another, and there was serious conversation.
Yeah.
Serious
Very
conversation about it. And I don't want to say that we would... could you say a different day, different time, different meal beforehand? Maybe it would change how we feel about it. Maybe.
Yeah.
But these were... Where I thought the Evolution 23 would be a part of this conversation, it wasn't. Thankfully, because I don't need another bottle part of this conversation.
Yeah.
But these were definitely our top 3 and wasn't even close.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that. So number 3 on the list is Old Fitz 13 VVS. This, when it came out, just kind of took the bourbon world by storm.
Yeah.
I mean, the story behind it, the fact that they've added a release and just kind of sat on it for as long as they sat on it.
Yeah.
All those good things. They knew it was great. And because they knew it was great, they just held on to it for something special. So super cool that they did it. Again, this was number 2 for me, and
it was number 2 for both of us.
Yeah,
Here's what's crazy. Our number 3 bottle finished number 2 for both of us. But after we went back because everything tied,
yeah,
it just fell to number 3 for us. But it is... I have a bottle every year that I really chase after a bunch, and I try to have multiple backups of. This was my bottle this year that I really chased after because the profile of this, I don't know if we'll ever get again. I think you can get the profiles of pretty much everything in the top 20 like how we did.
Yeah.
But this is a modern dusty through and through. And I don't think we're ever going to get this again.
I think you're probably right.
So, unless somebody's just holding on to whiskey in a vat somewhere for 20 years.
Let's cross our fingers, hope that they are.
Kidding, right?
All right, number 2 on our list is the King of Kentucky.
This might be a little controversial. Because I think a lot of people are trying King this year. Let me say this. The media sample that was sent out was not great.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people who tried the media sample were a little disappointed. Still a really great bottle of whiskey, but it's not King Kentucky worthy, I think is what most people would say. This barrel, on the other hand, is just different.
It is. It's fantastic.
This reminds me of our bottle that won 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Of King. It was fantastic. It has like that powder chocolate note to it that I absolutely love, with that heavy char and that oak. It's everything you want.
It just stood out to me.
Kentucky.
It finished number 1 for me. And it's generally not my profile to finish number 1, and for whatever reason, it did this year.
It finished 3rd for me.
Yeah.
So as much as I'm so happy with this, because I thought man, it's disappointing that they're not great this year. And then I tried and I was like, wow, this is actually really good. What's everybody talking about? I kind of understand what people are talking about since I've had some of them now.
Yeah.
But this one here, guys, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
So
really, really good stuff. And then number one
in our hearts, number 1 in your hearts, number one in Fred Minnick's hearts.
In Fred Minnick's hearts. How many hearts does he have? 2? 2 or 3?
I don't know.
Russell's 15 year. This has just been a great bottle all year long. I thought it would finish somewhere in the top 3 to 4, and for me it finished 3, and for you it finished 1. So, and then obviously we had to keep.
The moment for me that I knew it won was I had Russell's 15, I drank King Kentucky, and I drank Russell's 15.
Yeah.
And I felt like the Russell's 15 overpowered the King. And I was like, well, there, I know. I know. And you could
when I did the release, when I did when I tasted through them, the Russells was like here. Mm-hmm. And the King was all the way at the end, so there was a lot of stuff to taste in between. Yeah. So,
to me, whenever I was drinking those two, and I just compared the two together, I compared that and the Russell's 15. I compared the Russell's 15 to the Old Fitz 13 individually, and then to the King individually. Yeah. And just the Russell's 15 just overpowered it with flavor, and I get that. It just came off even more fun.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just it's such a incredibly special bottle, and the fact that it is set on the secondary for only $100 basically more, like $130 to $100 more than what you could buy at MSRP, has been just highway robbery. It's just been nuts. So I hope you all got them. I think there's actually been a lot more of these than what we thought. So I hope you all was able to score one. I think out of a lot of the tough bourbon to find this year, this was actually one of the more, I don't want to say easy to find, but one of the more reasonable to find ones.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it's going to be a lot of everybody's favorite whiskey of the year. Yeah. So honestly.
So no surprise. All right, tell us what's on your list. Tell us what's number one for you. What you have bought and it's sitting on your shelves. What's your bourbon of the year that you purchased this year? I'd love to hear that. Also, let us know what you think just about our list in general. And until the next time,
we'll see you.
We'll see you.